Hey, hi, hello there, and welcome to another episode of An Anthropologist Watches TLC. Specifically, the Sister Wives episode where the anthropologists move in. So, I made it through the first 10 minutes in the last video. And so, yeah, we're gonna try to get a little further today on this episode. So, yeah, before we go too far, I am an anthropologist by training. I am an archaeologist, retired. And yeah, this has really actually been a fun episode, actually. I feel like there's been a lot of really good explanations going on in the show, and it's been very interesting to watch as an anthropologist. I know a couple people have asked me about that, and I'm not trying to confuse people when I say these kind of things. That's why I keep saying by training. I'm not an academic. I did not go through the academic route. I purposefully was not going to do academia. I have no interest in it. It is not a great place, in my opinion, so you will not see me in said spaces. So anything that I'm saying about the anthropology is relating it back to when I was in school, many eons ago, or just in general, my opinion that has been shaped and colored by my anthropological studies. I mean, it is what it is. So I am not a professor. I'm not going after these two grad students or anything like that. I know I've had a couple things to say about my opinions coming forward, and I'm going to continue to do that. I assume that's why you're here, but don't take what I have to say as like gospel. That's kind of the caveat I'm trying to put out there. Let's see. Oh yeah. Thank you to everybody who's supporting the channel. Thank you to my followers. Thank you to my members. All of you rock. Thanks to everybody who's going to leave a thumbs up. Thank you to the 3 of you that leave a thumbs down. And I don't think I really have anything else to kind of preamble here. So let's jump in. If you want the long preamble, go watch the first episode of my reaction. And yeah, if I haven't talked your ear off by that point, you might as well subscribe. So let's get in.
Have you stay.
Cool.
We got 2 guest rooms.
Yeah, I've got 2 rooms upstairs.
Okay.
So you'll have to share a bathroom though.
That's quite all right.
Oh, back to those old college dorm days.
Kind of scary because we're kind of giving these students a lot of power to tell the world who we are.
I mean, they were letting them close.
It looks like that's Robin, right? The newest wife number 4, as it will be stated later. She's not happy about having them there. I wonder who agreed. It must have been Cody. And now that I'm asking that question, none of the wives seem particularly interested in having these students here. They're not hostile against it like Robin sounds like she is. I'm assuming that's Robin. But it's very clear that she's not on board with this. Again, the family's very concerned about being judged. And I know Robin feels like she's giving these anthropologists a lot of power, but again, this is season 8 of this TLC show. Those anthropologists aren't going to do any more damage to y'all than TLC's done. Just throwing that out there.
Closer than we've ever let anybody.
Also, I guess I'm just fascinated by why the anthropologists are freaking them out, but TLC being present for the last 8 years of their lives, it doesn't seem to faze them at all. They seem, I mean, at this point, obviously it's year 8. They're not making the same observations about TLC as they're making about the anthropology students, unless this is kind of their way of sneaking in some jabs to TLC, the anthropology students are going to judge us, TLC. We're giving them a lot of power to show the world what we're like, TLC. Kind of one of those situations.
That's not family.
This prank actually makes me feel awkward. It must be the perfect prank.
That was really good.
Mary and I, we could not get our act together.
Mr. Business, right? We're going to have brunch. After that, we'll sit down with the anthropology students and basically let our kids pick at them.
Believe me, one of the best informant sources when you're doing anthropology are the talkative children. Tell me about everything. Okay, cool. I'm gonna take some notes.
Antoinette came in. She asked what she could do to help. So yeah, I put her to work.
Of course, jumping in the kitchen was not a calculated decision. It seemed like the natural thing to do as an ethnographer.
And for me, the natural thing to do is to stay on the outside.
Let's see, and this goes back to what I was talking about earlier in the first part of this, is that often when anthropologists go in to study a group of people, they will often go and study the group that their gender matches with. And that is because typically a gender group will feel more comfortable or more relaxed having a same gendered person in the group, even if they know that person's observing them, than they would if a different gendered person jumped in. Like, so if I've already forgotten his name. If the male student had gone in and said, "What can I do in the kitchen?" it would have struck the family as the wives. It could have potentially struck the wives as odd and caused them to have abnormal behavior, which them being there is already going to cause that problem, and they know that. So they're already like adjusting for that going into this. So the goal here is to not further that awkwardness by creating situations where the wives are forced to interact awkwardly, if that made sense. So Antoinette, such a lovely name. So Antoinette actually going in and saying, "Hey, can I help out in the kitchen?" It not only is she the same gender, and so she's not going to be viewed as a threat, it also endears her to the group, and so they might relax even further. There's this concept of when you're studying a group of people, it is, even if you are of the same gender, there's this idea by the outside or the group that you're watching that they will view you as being ungendered. I know that's a weird thing to say, but like it was entirely possible that Antoinette could have just stayed in the sidelines and just observed from the sidelines and not offered to help or get involved in any way. And that could have caused a situation where the wives, knowing her gender is female, obviously she's presenting that way and she's identified herself that way, even though they know that, the fact that Antoinette is not participating in female gendered activities, it places her outside the group of being a female. Is that making sense to you? So they actually they could potentially view her as having no gender. They don't view her as male, but they also don't view her as female. And so it could create a situation where she will also have an awkward time interacting with them because she's viewed as being genderless, and the group doesn't know, the group being studied doesn't know what to do with her. So actually Antoinette jumping in the kitchen and saying, "Hey, how can I help?" and endearing herself to the wives will actually help her down the road when it comes to her wanting to observe them in a more relaxed situation, as opposed to constantly having them on their guard, as they already are. They're already concerned about having the anthropologists there. So her doing that actually is a really great way for her to have lowered their guard. And I know from the preview that, why do I want to call him Ryan? Anyway, this guy is eventually going to do the same thing with Cody. So, and him doing that, him participating in activities that have been gendered as male, like he's going to go help Cody chop wood or something. That will also help the wives relax, as well as Cody, because now, and same thing with Antoinette, because she jumped in to help the wives, that'll help Cody relax, so hopefully a little bit, because now they're not unknown factors. Now they are at least acting the way that they're expected to act given their presenting gender. I hope that all made sense. If it didn't, let me know down in the questions below.
Is that because you're a man?
I can find other ways to do as
I'm gonna back that one up some.
I put her to work.
course, jumping in the kitchen was not a calculated decision. It seemed like the natural thing to do as an ethnographer.
And for me, the natural thing to do is to stay on the outside.
Well, is that because you're a man?
I can find other ways to make myself useful, I guess.
It's called building rapport.
She is done with him. Boy, and he knows it too. Ah, what happened there, dude? They're not fans of each other. They're not like hostile, but she's not putting up with his crap at all. You go, Antoinette. I'm rooting for we're Team Antoinette right now. Got a cool name. She's correct. She's trying to look at things through a feminist lens, even if she's not going to call it that one way or the other, but I hope she does. I would really like to see her. I personally would like to see Antoinette explain her focus. Just because I want to know if she was actually purposefully doing this through a feminist lens or if she's got some other theory that she's filtering this through, because there's a lot of them.
I think the anthropology students are awesome. They're not invasive in any way. They're really cool to hang out with. They're really cool people.
I think they're awesome. It's like having friends over to come over and but you don't know them.
One of the main things that I've noticed here right off the bat is that there's just an enormous amount of children running around looking for attention. Is it wise to have so many children where it stretches your time and your resources to a point where you can't give the attention that each individual child needs?
I don't think he should be asking that question. And the only reason I don't think he should be asking that question is because it's a judgment question, but that might be part of his thesis, so.
I've got an interesting question.
Right on.
With millions of history of mankind on this earth, are we monogamous or are we polygamists?
Good.
Oh! Historically, going back to the times before organized religion and even organized communities, you will find that the way that we view polygamy today, like the whole like one dude, multiple wives, not so much, but the whole concept of pair bonding between two individuals but not being monogamous among the pair bond, that's more common. It wasn't until we started introducing the agriculture and the concept of inheritance and of family line that it became important to keep track of that. And in various ways, especially with religion getting involved, that's when we start really seeing the development of the concept of monogamy and the whole idea that like the child has to be able to be tracked backwards through either the mother's or the father's genetic line. So, what's this dude's name? Go! I want to hear your explanation.
Question, and you're going to get probably two similar answers or two different answers.
Personally, I always believed we were designed to be polygamous.
I guess what I'm trying to say more is we're designed to be non-monogamous. We're not designed. We are given... I guess what I'm trying to say more is it's not the polygamy thing. It's more that we're non-monogamists. Somebody described it as serial monogamy. And that's what a lot of people do these days. You know, you have one boyfriend or one girlfriend and until you don't have that one and then you date someone else. But then you're monogamous with that person until that relationship doesn't work out and then you date someone else, kind of a thing. I know the idea of like open dating is really popular right now, or just like hookup culture, I guess is what we're calling it these days. So that's kind of the whole concept of non-monogamy. But humans, like most animals, pair bond, and that pair bond doesn't necessarily have to be male-female. It can be, anyway, it can be people of the same gender, it can be people of the same sex. It doesn't necessarily have to be one or the other. It also doesn't necessarily have to be sexual in nature. Pair bonding is just fulfilling an emotional need or whatever. The sex part, that's the controlling of sex, thereby controlling the family line. That's something that we see come in around the time of agriculture, and then even more strongly around the time of religion, especially when we have like leaders that are following a genetic line kind of a thing, or religion that follows a genetic line kind of a thing. So, no polygamy, yes, non-monogamy.
I would say that no, we're not monogamous, and that's something that's been created in probably the rise of the concept of private property.
If we don't have culture telling us what to do, what does our heart and our nature tell us to do?
Okay, Cody, but I like that you heard what you wanted to hear. However, what the dude was trying to explain to you is that your wives also should be able to have multiple male lovers and or female lovers if that's what their hearts wanted them to do, but they could still be considered your wives. Cody just hears, oh, I can have as many wives as I want. He's not thinking that, oh, my wives could also have boyfriends. That's not occurring to him.
Humans are flexible in their mating strategies, depending on the ecology, and so the environment that they are living in. As a species, we're a flexible species.
That is an excellent way of putting it. We are still Team Antoinette. Also, this has got to be the most awkward damn conversation to have with a room full of children. That's a weird conversation to be having with a room full of children.
But he's going to pick something different. I'm in this place where I sometimes feel like what other people's opinion of me is none of my business. It just doesn't matter. It's just a big mind screw. It just messes with your head when you know people's opinions of you, whether it's positive or negative. I realize we're looking at these anthropologists in some ways to give us validation.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
but
sure.
I think that that's the stupidest thing a man who's leading a family can do. Is this?
I don't like Cody. He really is just a giant ass hippie, isn't he? Just a hippie wannabe. Yes, they do seem to be looking to the anthropologists for validation, and no, you shouldn't do that because anthropologists shouldn't be validating you. The goal of anthropology is not to validate, well, anymore, isn't to validate one culture over another. It is simply to study a culture, not even necessarily in comparison to another culture. It's just to study the culture that you're there with. And Cody and his little cohort there could be considered themselves a microculture or a subculture.
It's like, I shouldn't even care, but yet I do.
Because Cody is very concerned about what other people think. Cody has an image of himself that he is very concerned about projecting forward. And that has been extremely clear in the last 13 minutes. Cody wants you to think he's an independent guy who doesn't need the validation of the people around him, but...
The morning, as I expected, was a bit chaotic. There's a lot of people in one house.
But
now
PhD
I'm really
students.
interested in what's going on. Either
I'm sorry, they're not master's students, they're PhD students. Okay, now I really want to see their papers.
when we're not around,
Excuse me.
or when the environment is a little bit different. There's something to find there.
He's right.
Cody does portray himself as the leader of his family.
Yes.
And so
Richard.
if I don't really kind of get inside Cody's worldview, then how am I really to interpret how his family life is really going? What makes him tick? What's he interested in? What's his point of view?
Okay, so Richard really is there just to study Cody. And okay, that's fine. Now, the reason I pause it is, again, Ryan is making a calculated decision to participate with Cody, to do the things Cody's doing to, as you saw here, help Cody out. He's trying to get in with Cody, which is an excellent strategy. It does put him into the same participant observer situation that Antoinette put herself in, and it's the same idea, whether he's going to admit it or not, but the building of rapport between himself and his informant, which would be Cody. It will probably also give him a better in with the kids. And again, as I was saying earlier, because he's going to now show that he's classifying himself as male by doing the male things around the house, the wives will be a little bit more relaxed around him too, because now they know how to categorize him, basically. They can classify him easier now. And now he's not just the weirdo in the house, as it could have really turned out to be. Like, him not participating in kitchen duties was actually probably very smart, because it doesn't look like the males in the family, or at least the older males in the family, do not participate in the kitchen duties. The younger children might, but it didn't look like they were. It looked like it was a female-centric thing.
How does all of this make him feel like he's being a good father, or being an
Bring the dog back!
awesome husband, or a provider and things like that?
Now we're going to go to the backyard and play some yard games. Later on, we're going to barbecue when it gets dark. Then we're going to pull a prank on the anthropologist, and then we'll do s'mores.
Well, somebody's been watching King of the Hill.
It's a game of tag. And Richard went taking after somebody, and you can't put the brakes on that fast.
Why? Would you think you were playing football, my dude? Holy crap. Look at him. You got him in the legs. You can't see because of his damn button, but you got him right at the legs. He's like, whoosh. Oh, man.
Oh, Rich is out! Rich is out! His sunglasses are gone, too!
Yeah, I think my knee broke his sunglasses. Richard, you might want to protect your sunglasses.
I think I just broke. Yeah, I just broke.
I was actually very surprised about that. I thought they would be on the sidelines probably watching us with those notebooks.
Yeah, they broke.
So what I find a little bit ironic about this situation
Go, Antoinette, get him.
is your commentary about me helping in the kitchen. And yet as soon as we turned to sport,
Oh yeah, this
you
is something.
jumped in.
All barriers come down if it's competitive and if there's any running involved.
Uh-huh. He's completely dismissing what she just pointed out. But she's very correct in pointing out the fact that, he was criticizing her for participating in the kitchen and trying to build rapport that way. But yet, as soon as it was a more male-dominated / masculine activity, Richard was all about it. So she's just basically giving him a dose of his own medicine. And he's like, oh yeah, well, excuse. Again, I did notice the cut there. Don't get me wrong. I am noticing the cuts. It could be editing. Please take everything I'm saying with a grain of salt.
Well, it's been a fun day. The perspective of that Richard. Woo! Okay. Something I did. Look at that fire.
Yep. Look at that fire. Who let you have a grill? Cody, my man, step back. Let your son take care of this. It looks like he knows what he's doing.
All those look divine!
Okay. Cody's kids are done with his shit too. Look at his face. I was gonna eat that.
They pretty much are, bud. I'm pretty sure it'll be fine. This prank actually makes me feel awkward.
Cody's very awkward. He just took the word out of my mouth. Cody's very awkward. He's feeling a lot of pressure with these guys here, and yeah.
It must be the perfect prank. Each wife is going to give me an offering of their food. And this just makes me squeamish. It's so awkward.
They may think it's
a normal for us.
A normal thing for us.
Oh, no.
Our church has a lay ministry, and young men start to... Oh,
they're really good.
Don't have to worry about it. I could not hold a face. I cannot hold a straight face. I turned around and I just started laughing. It was just, didn't you say you're welcome? I have to go to the bathroom. I'm going to wet my pants. I'm not even kidding.
This is so normal.
Middle of a conversation, opening your mouth.
Fade me.
You know, rite of passage with us would be.
Oh man, look at him trying to saw through that steak. Why would you do that to meat?
In a sense, getting married and having. Oh, thank you. Getting married.
Mary and I.
She's so onto it already. Antoinette's like, okay. The fact that he decided to pull this particular prank, though, says a lot about what Cody wants to project as well. Like, I know he's calling it a prank, but picking this particular type of behavior as his prank says a lot. But I want to hear what Richard has to say too, because he's not above calling Cody out. So, you know, he's not falling for it either. I would also like to hear what Antoinette has to say.
Hey, we could not get our act together. Okay, I just gotta do it. Let's see what it's like.
No.
They didn't seem to like bat an eye.
They think this might be normal.
No, they don't. No, they don't. Richard's getting a little irritated, actually, it looks like.
We listen in on more conversations than you think, Dad.
Thank you.
And then all the kids come up and start feeding you, and again you're talking blah 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 blah.
Kids started doing it. That's awesome.
So now we're going to go outside and have s'mores around the campfire.
That's ridiculous. I will say I love that Cody's kids are not above giving him shit. I do like that. It does show that he's not like super strict or being like, well, he's not the 8 passengers. So that actually kind of makes me feel a little bit better for the kids, because they're usually like the overlooked victims in these kind of situations. Wow, that came out completely wrong. I am glad that the kids are clearly showing signs that they're allowed to be kids. The whole like mimicking their mothers, watching them feed their dad, and then getting in on the joke even though they weren't supposed to originally be part of the joke. So that tells me that A, the kids have a good sense of humor. Like the kid calling his dad out. That looks divine. God bless. So that actually, I like that. That's a good sign, actually.
Let's not do the offering then. Let's just tell them about it.
The s'more?
No, I don't want s'more offerings. I'm tired of offerings.
Do you want just a marshmallow or do you want like a whole s'more?
Who wants me to make them?
I'm just cooking marshmallows because it's fun.
Oh, really?
You probably need a whole s'more.
Do you want a whole s'more? Here, how about 4 whole s'mores?
Like that.
Oh my God!
And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why you don't have 4 wives. They will gang up on you. Hey, remember that stupid idea you had? By the way, we think it's a stupid idea.
Somebody had me by the hair. You know, I was like,
Why are you doing this to me?
They still didn't say anything.
No, they're not going to, because they're observing your behavior. You're doing the thing. And it also shows them that they're aware that you're aware that they're watching. So they're probably trying to like evaluate. They already know the situation is going to be strange because they're there. Now they know this behavior is abnormal to begin with. And so now they're trying to figure out how the abnormal behavior actually fits into the everyday. So unfortunately, the anthropology students don't have the benefit of the couch talk. I wonder if they got to read. I wonder if they got to watch the episode before their papers. Well, probably. Theses can take forever, you guys. I wonder if they went back and watched this episode after they had done the study, the 4-day study, and also used this material in their theses, because I feel like that would be a really good idea, because again, we who are watching have the benefit of the couch talk, but in the moment the anthropology students did not. So even though I'm positive they figured out that this is abnormal behavior, putting a show being put on for them, they don't exactly know that why or any of that kind of stuff. But they would after they watched this episode. Wow.
No reaction. They're just sitting there. I'm like, so what I wonder is who's really getting pranked here?
Yep.
Are we getting pranked? Are we getting pranked because they're not responding?
We just thought we just thought you needed like an honoring bite with your s'more.
An honoring bite.
We really were just joking, Himmel. You guys.
Did you guys just think it was like, oh, okay, this is their family thing?
No, I thought it was quite odd.
Thank you, Richard. Points for Team Richard.
I thought it was quite odd. But how do you sit there at someone's table and he's cooked you steak and fish and chicken and go, seriously? I'm like, seriously? No.
So the s'mores prank was interesting because we got to see the wives play together.
Thank you. This is feminist archaeology.
And to cooperate together.
It was nice to see that they feel really comfortable with basically really putting Cody on the spot.
I'm sorry, my beard's got marshmallow in it.
Richard has a really good point there. And it's the same thing I was saying about the kids. Like, it is showing that Richard has like the family has a comfortable dynamic. I'm sure they're not like the most functional family on the planet, you guys. I'm not trying to say that. And whatever. Show me a functional family. I'll show you a bridge made of gold. But they do seem to have a cheerful family dynamic so far. Keep in mind, this is the first episode of this I've ever watched too, so they seem to be... I mean, I know there's stress there, don't get me wrong. But the kids don't seem to have a problem joking around with him. The wives don't seem to have a problem joking around with him. On the couch, I can see the body language, yes, but they all seem to be able to, like, talk to each other. When one of them is talking, the rest of them turn to listen, so that's at least showing me some stuff. You know, and even here, Cody's clearly not pleased, but he's not, like, going off on them, and I don't know, maybe he does some passive-aggressive stuff, but for the most part, it just seems to be, like, it's like four big sisters are ganging up on their little brother. That's what that kind of looked like to me. Like, that's what that reminded me of. You know, it was more like they were at that point acting like sisters, and Cody was unfortunately the younger brother.
Now, I'll never get the chocolate marshmallow out of my beard. Yeah, s'mores. Do you want a little chocolate marshmallow, Robin? Right now, right there. Right there, come on, a little chocolate marshmallow right there.
I'm out.
Interesting that he turned to Robin for that one.
Look, come on, Mary, I got enough for you, too.
I got Sharon here.
Listen, here's my offering. There you go.
Some of the things that we're talking about today about people not getting into marriages or delaying children or not having them is just a fact of the times now.
I don't want my kids to hear this.
Welcome to...
And that's kind of what I was wondering, like, Cody seems to be asking the anthropologists questions with the children present, and I can't tell if Cody's doing that because he just doesn't register that the kids are there, like there's such background noise to him that he doesn't calculate that they're there, or if Cody thinks there's something valuable that the kids are going to get from him questioning the anthropologists about things like marriage and mating habits, and it sounds like he brought it back up again. So in my mind, that would be an awkward conversation to have anyway. As the anthropologists, they're probably loving it. Like, not only do they get to, you know, explain a little bit more about their worldview, but they also get to observe the family reacting to an outside opinion inside the home. So
church.
And all of a sudden I got a text saying, hey, I'm thinking about joining the Mormon church. I'm like, what?
They're not Mormons. I'm so confused. Sparkly lights.
So all the adults went back into the kitchen table and sat down and ended up in this discussion about marriage and how less and less people are getting married and they're just living together.
Yeah, because it's expensive, my dude. That's how I'm trying to figure out, like, how they're all chicly well dressed. They're all well groomed. Even Cody, somebody's dressing him in the morning at least. I mean, they don't look like they're struggling, and they don't look like they're doing the whole, like, you have to dress like this way, you know, kind of a thing. So they clearly have some money coming, and they live in Las Vegas, so they've clearly got some money coming in. I just am interested in what the financial dynamic is for the family.
So, you know, why get married, right? So is it because you can have, you know, a different tax bracket or tax write-offs? Is it to basically say that, you know, I'm married and people are going to see me as an adult now? Because that happens a lot, right? You know, what makes you an adult? It is. I mean, you join that club of being married and people look at you differently. Like, okay, they're married. They're really serious into this. And that can be really unappealing for some people, and they choose not to get married. And for me, you know, the moment, I mean, my ex-wife, you know, the moment that we said, I do, it was like, the emotion is just absolutely different. For some people, you know, I've
heard a lot of people say that, actually, that, like, you know, they're in a relationship, it's working out really well, they get engaged, still working out really well, and then something happens after you get married, and something happens in the dynamic of the relationship at that point, and it all kind of falls apart. I find that interesting. I'm not slamming Richard here. I've literally heard that. I have heard that from other people, which I just find people who have, like, friends of mine who were together for like 8-7 years, you know, they finally tie the knot, and then like a year later they're divorced, and I'm just kind of like, what the hell's going on there? So nothing I've experienced myself personally, so.
They really don't want to get to that level because then it's permanent. I mean, there is that whole sense of permanency.
Maybe that's it.
You know, no disrespect for Richard or Antoinette or their lifestyle in any way, but in their personal lives, this is what they're doing. They're choosing to have a partner and live with them for an extended amount of time, committed, but at the same time, no legal marriage involved. And for me, it just kind of felt like they were saying, this is the better way.
It's an interesting thing for Robin to say, because as per my research that I did through Reddit, currently in this timeline, Robin is not legally married to Cody. As I understand right now, as of this episode, Cody's only legally married to Mary. Sorry, I forgot where the camera was. To Mary. So all of his other wives, I don't really know how they've, like, other than a religious ceremony, I'm not really sure how they've, like, solidified the legality of the marriage, but it's interesting to hear Robin say something like being concerned about the legalness of the marriage, since she, as my understanding, is not herself legally married to Cody. So that's an interesting statement for me. Does she believe that she is legally married, or is the timeline different and I just got things mixed up here?
Move in our culture, this I'm sure would fascinate you guys. It actually fascinates me that there's less people having children as per capita.
Again, children are expensive, my dude. Marriage is expensive. Kids are expensive. Pets are expensive. I get why people keep plants.
As have in the past, and there's less children being born per capita than ever before.
And are there less marriages too then?
Oh, see, the polygamists are making up for all of that.
That's funny.
America is not static, right?
No.
And so everything moves forward, everything changes, and some of the things that we're talking about today about people not getting into marriages or delaying children or not having them is just a fact of the times now.
I don't want my kids to hear this. I think if it works for Richard and Antoinette and anybody else in the world, awesome, you know? But I would rather not this be something that my kids, you know, see as like, oh, this is a great thing too. I mean, like, I don't feel like my children are ready or mature enough to actually hear that this is something that's a choice.
Which kind of makes me wonder if, like, well, I mean, you can't really predict what someone's going to be talking about at any given moment, obviously, but did Robin try to send the kids out of the room at the time? Was she like, la 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 la? Or was, like, Cody pushing the issue in a way that Robin didn't feel like she could shield her children from it, because I didn't see anybody taking the kids away. Of course, Cody did say that the adults went in and sat down at the dinner table again, which implies that the kids were about. But there were definitely some of the, at least older children, were definitely present while that conversation was happening. And there were definitely people moving around in the background, which implies the other kids were moving around as well. So I don't know. I feel Robin, I do. This is the thing with people that, you know, grow up religiously and they want to raise their kids religiously, or even people who have a certain ideology that they want their kids to grow up within. Yeah, you want to shelter them from outside opinions and outside views for as long as possible, because you're obviously raising them that way for a reason. You clearly view counter opinions or counter ideologies as being harmful or bad or just undesirable. So I get wanting to protect your kids from that as long as possible. It doesn't sound like Cody's on the same page. All right. It doesn't sound like Cody's like taking, again, Cody's just doesn't seem to be taking his kids into consideration here. He just seems to be like, Cody wants to ask a question and Cody wants to have an answer. And if there happens to be other people in the room, then so be it.
Today we're going to have church. After that, we're going to go see a movie as the family, and then hopefully we'll be able to get a little poker in tonight before the kids have to go back to school.
Good morning.
Good morning. So Robin made a comment last night when we were starting to talk about something that I think for her became a little bit uncomfortable, because there weren't younger kids around, but there were.
Keeping in mind, they're not seeing the couch talk, and they're not seeing the personal head box talk, whatever it is, the confessional. Yeah, there we go. The confessional talk. So this is the anthropology students picking up on this without being prompted.
There's some middle-aged kids around.
Yeah, she really became like this really protective mother at that point. Like there, she was going to throw this wall up really quick.
So they are.
We have questions about certain things. Is she going to be like, no, we can't, you know, approach that in this environment? But I mean, you know, we're going to find out here just in a couple minutes. You know, so I'm really excited about that.
I wonder if everybody.
That conversation wasn't very organic, so I kind of feel like that was one of those times where they were like, let's do that again. Let's have take number 2.
To be perfectly honest, we are very disorganized about this. We're meeting in our own home. It's just our family. There's nobody else here. There's a tendency.
Is this a compound kind of thing? Is Cody is this Cody's religion? Like, this is the church of Cody? Is he just borrowing the concept of polygamy as a tenet for his religion because he wants to have multiple wives? Is that what's going on here? Like, because they're shocked that one of the daughters wants to join the Mormon church, which seems to be very in line with their beliefs, but Cody's very much. This is an interesting dynamic. Maybe I should watch this show more.
See, with that, to sort of be informal about it.
It's an act of will that we're trying to put together our church every single Sunday. Every single Sunday, it's an act of will from all of us.
I want to know why it's so difficult for them to do church. It doesn't even look like they're all there.
Welcome to church. Oh my goodness.
If you were to just come in and just sit down and forget the fact that you're in someone's living room, it looked, smelled, and acted like church.
This song is about faith.
Okay.
Perfect song for my sermon today.
Sometimes when we sit down for church,
his kids could not have looked more disinterested if they had tried. The only thing they don't have is their cell phones. In church again. God, Dad's talking about God. Jeez.
I'm like, who's missing?
You know, kids, I have a desire for you to have faith in God. This is what we try to promote and try to teach, is faith.
It could also be that some of the kids are really uncomfortable being on the camera. But again, some of these, this is like year 8, so some of these kids are the same age as this damn show, I guess.
In God.
So I noticed that some of the older kids weren't present at church. What does it mean that the older kids are off doing their own thing when the rest of the family is at a church service together?
As your
It's an interesting observation because, yes, that's part of their study. But for me, it's kind of showing that, like, Cody's not, you must be at church on Sunday. You know, he's obviously giving his older children some leeway, which does kind of make me wonder, like, how much influence does Cody actually have over his children, especially his older children? Because it doesn't really seem like he doesn't register the kids. He's very awkward in front of his kids. And it could be because the anthropologists are there. It could be because the camera's there. I don't know. But it just doesn't seem like Cody's very engaged with his children, especially his older kids. He's got that one daughter that kept sitting with him. And yeah, but I mean, as far as the rest of the kids, I'm not really seeing a whole lot of interaction there. And again, he keeps asking questions that make his wives uncomfortable, but yet doesn't take into account that the kids are there. All right. Before we go any further, I'm going to pause this here. All right, if you've made it this far, then go ahead and leave a... I'm trying to think. Oh, what was it? Leave a barbecue. Leave your favorite barbecue down in the comments section below, or just leave flames down in the comments section below as your emoji. This is part 2. We're going to wrap this up in part 3. Thanks for sticking with it through all of this. Again, my members, my subscribers, people who support the channel, thank you all very much. Thank you everybody who's going to hit the thumbs up. I want to jump in and record the third half of this right now. So, yeah, leave a comment down below. Leave the emojis down below if you would like. And I will see everybody in the third and final one of these. And thank you for sticking with my very long-winded observations of this. Actually, this is really cool. I'm glad this was recommended to me. But anyway, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!